So if you want to know how Turbo makes crazy beats in the style of Gunna, this is the perfect video for you. Yo guys, what's up and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how Turbo makes crazy beats in the style of Gunna. And while making this sample I was inspired by the song called Trees. Because I really like the song and I really like the sample. So y'all will hear like a similar main melody, but I used some inspiration I found from that. And if you want to level up as a music producer, make sure to check out the link in the description. My own kit store, which is called Lucaland. I would really appreciate that. Use code Lucaland15 for 15% off of your whole order. It would really help me and it would really mean a lot. And if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel. And if you like the sample and the beat, please make sure to let me know in the comments. Or if you want to see something else, like some future video suggestions, make sure to leave them in the comments as well. And I don't want to keep the intro too long. So yeah guys, let's go. So I started off with a VST called Diva, and as you can see I used a 3EE Diva keys preset and I didn't tweak anything. I just laid down this pretty simple pattern and we had 126 BPM and an E minor I think. And as you can see it's basically this right here, but I just arpeggiated it just to make it sound nice, and then I left like a little space right here and laid down a little counter melody just to like fill out the main melody a little bit more. And then for the second part, as you can see, I went down with the root note just to give the sample a little bit more variation. Then again I went down by one just to give the sample, as I said, more variation, and played a little bit with the root notes. And as you can see I didn't have the counter melody right here, just like a simple chord, and I randomized the velocities, which you can do with Alt and R, and the finished main melody is sounding like this. Then for the effects on this first sound, I have this Valhalla vintage verb where I had the mix to about 50%. I left the pre-delay on default, I tweaked the decay and the low cut, and I had this EQ where I queued out some frequencies that I didn't really like, and this EQ where I ducked one of the low mid frequencies and cut out some of the lows just that they don't clash with the bass. And then for the first part, the sample has 3 parts, so y'all make sure to stay till the end. I used the Lead Epic Saga preset and I didn't tweak anything again, and the pattern I laid down looks like this. Very simple, but it's a good counter melody to complement the sample or like the main melody, and it's pretty repetitive, so I changed it up right here and right there, and I randomized the velocities again, and the finished pattern is sounding like this. And for the effects on this lead, I have this Valhalla vintage verb with these settings right here. Then this simple EQ where I just EQ'd out some frequencies again that I didn't really like. And I had this simple EQ on there just again to cut out some of the lows. Then for the next thing I played like a little guitar riff over that, which is pretty simple though. As you can see, it's just a few notes. I chopped it up and put some effects on there to make it sound a little bit more ambient. And I had the declicker mode to generic, the mode to stretch, and I will show you all the effects right away. I have this NS1 stereo just to remove like the white noise. Then this Valhalla vintage verb with these settings, this EQ and this EQ again just to EQ out some frequencies that I didn't like and to EQ out some lows. And I have a 12% in mono, just that not everything is like over each other, and the guitar melody I played sounds like this. Then for the second part, I have this simple vocal melody right here, and I just time stretch it, put the declicker mode to generic, and that's all I did, and the finished vocal is sounding like this. Then for the effects on there, I have this little order boy where I put the form to -4. Then this Valhalla vintage verb where I tweak the mix, the decay and the low cut. And I have this for the parametric EQ where I just cut out some of the lows. Then for the next thing, I went to my starstruck multi-kit, which you can see right here. And I went to the percloop section and picked this arcane percloop. And I went to textures and picked this vinyl texture. As you can see, they are automatically time stretched, so you don't have to do anything. I put the declicker mode on generic, put the mode to stretch. And for the percloop, I load the volume by a bit, put the declicker mode to generic and the mode on stretch as well. And the percloop and texture is sounding like this. And for the effects on the vinyl texture, I have just a simple EQ where I cut out some of the lows and duck some of the mids. And for the perk loop, I have this EQ right here, then this EQ just to basically bring it into the background, then this simple soothe where I put the thing from soft to hard, put the depth to 4.9 and turned off this point, and this free reverb with these settings and the mix turned to 35%. Then after that, I used the Scarby Rickenbacker bass and I used the ideal standard preset. I didn't tweak anything at all. I just laid down this pretty complex bass line because on the One of Wun album from Gunna, it's pretty common that they don't really use 808s. They often use bass lines, so I wanted to make like a bass line which could fit as like a bass line for the whole beat, not for the sample. And as you can see, I just played with some of these notes, changed up the root notes and like obviously changed the notes, put them in a higher octave just to make it sound like cool and pretty bouncy, I would say. And I randomized the velocities with Alt and R, and the finished bass line is sounding like this. And for the effects on this bassline, all I have on there is this EQ where I just cut out some of the frequencies that I didn't really like. Then this EQ just to cut out the low lows, like the muddy lows. And I had it 100% in mono. And then for the effects on my mastering chain, I have this Abbey Road vinyl stereo with this preset. I just turn off the noise and the crackle. Then this RC20 where I just turn off the digital and the space. It's the Luca Could Be a Pet preset. This L1 limiter, which is basically just there to make the sample louder. This sound shifter pitch stereo from Waves where I pitched the whole sample down by 1. This hyper chorus on its default preset, I just turned the mix to 8%. Then this EQ just to duck some of the low frequencies, and this simple soothe on its complete default settings, all I did was just turn off the knob. And now I'll show you all the sample with and without the mastering chain. So first of all, this is the sample without the mastering chain. And now this is the sample with the mastering chain, so this is the finished sample. And now for the beat breakdown, it's very simple. The first thing I did was obviously dragging in the sample, and I pitched the whole sample up by 1, put the declicker mode to generic, the mode to stretch, and the trim knob to 100%. And as you can see, I have the bass line right here, and I put it on a second mixer track because I didn't cut out the lows on this one, but I cut it out on the first, like on the main sample section or like mixer track. And the first thing I did for the beat or like for the drums was laying down this pretty simple hi-hat pattern with the Luca hit hi-hat out of my Starstruck multi-kit, which you can see right here. And I just played with the hi-hats. I tried to find a bounce, and I laid down some roll, left some space for other drum instruments, and that's basically all I did. As you can see, here's a long roll, then there's like a shorter one, a really short roll, and that's all I did for this hi-hat pattern. And the finished hi-hat pattern is sounding like this. Then for the next thing, I used the Luca Babe clap out of the kit again, and as you can see, it's a basic clap pattern which sounds like this. Then this simple power snare with the like basic snare pattern, I would say. I just removed one note right here and one note right there and put one at the end. So yeah, it's pretty simple and it sounds like this. Then I had the simple WAVY openhat, obviously out of the kit again, and I just layered some of the kick and 808 notes with the openhat, so they have like more punch, I would say, and the openhat pattern is sounding like this. Then I had this Luca Fev 808, and as you can see, I just laid down some notes on the root notes of the sample, or like from the bass line, and I tried to not go with the bass line pattern. I mean, it kind of worked, but like some notes are obviously on the bass line still, but that's why I removed the bass line with the EQ on the first mixer track. And as you can see, I have like a lower note right here and a lower note right there, just to get like more of a bounce or like an unexpected feeling for the listener. And that's really all I did. I just freestyled this 808 pattern right there, and I changed some notes to see what fits and what didn't, and then I just ended up with this 808 pattern. And now for the kicks, I obviously played with the bass line, so it has like a bounce as well, because I have two parts for this beat, which y'all will hear in a second. And I used this tickle kick that's the name, and laid down this pattern. It obviously kind of matches with the 808 pattern because I tried to go for the same bounce, but it's kind of different still. And that's all I can really explain. I freestyled again. I just laid down some notes and I just saw what fitted. And the kick pattern, the bass pattern, the 808 pattern, and everything else together is sounding like this. So yeah guys, if you all enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate that, and it would really help me. And please let me know in the comments on what y'all think on this beat and the sample. And if you haven't already, make sure to check out Lucaland, my own kit store, if you want to get better as a music producer. And use code Lucaland15 for 15% off of your whole order. That would really help me, and it would really mean a lot. And without keeping the outro too long, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and don't forget to check out Lucaland. And thank you all for your crazy support. And yeah guys, see ya.